Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Oscar Kokke, and I have the honor to welcome you to the Leiden University EUniWell opening meeting. And in this session, we will introduce to you the European University of Wellbeing. We will introduce it to the local university community, which is you, of course. You will hear students and colleagues who have been involved in this initiative from the early stage, and they will share with you the thoughts, the experiences, and we hope this will inspire you and give you an impression of the opportunities that EUniWell will offer. The next 45 minutes, I will be your host, but of course, it's all about my guests. So let's start this session with the Vice-Rector Magnificus. I'm going to introduce to you Hester Bijl. Hester, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Oscar.
Nice having you on the show. After all these months of preparing for EUniWell to start, how are you feeling today on this official launch day?
Yeah, extremely happy that we made it thus far and that we have the opportunity to really build our European university. We worked really hard on the proposal. That work started about a year ago with a team from Leiden University, but of course also teams from the other 6 universities. It was a great period, and I'm so happy that we can actually kick off and launch our European University on Wellbeing today.
Yeah, please tell me what's so special about EUniWell?
Well, I think it's very special in many ways. To begin with, we chose to unite with these 7 universities, which are very diverse universities. And this diversity might be a bit strange because normally as Leiden University, we think about our lyric partners. But if you think about the diversity that this European university brings, with universities like Keulen, Florence, Birmingham, but also Nantes, Linnaeus, and Semmelweis.
Not the usual suspects.
Sorry?
Not the usual suspects.
No, exactly. But what this brings is we're strong on the well-being. So all these universities are specifically strong on well-being and the aspects of that, but with very diverse strengths. So some are strong in entrepreneurship, some are strong really in the health area and research. Some are strong in uniting with their surroundings, with their communities, with companies. So this diversity, we think, brings us as Leiden University something, because then we can change faster and have more impact on well-being faster. So that is an element that makes me very happy. And I think what is also unique is the research areas that we decided to work together on. So we found 4 multidisciplinary research arenas, so research areas that we will work together on, all of course related to well-being. So the first one is well-being and health. The other one is individual and social well-being. Then the third one, environment, urbanity and well-being. And the fourth, teacher education. So on these 4 areas, all these universities are strong, so we can really change faster. And the third element I'm very happy about is that we truly incorporated students from the beginning. So it is not only sort of staff-led, but students are in the lead too, about thinking not only about research, but also about the multi-campus education we would like to offer, innovation in that, exchange, and I think that is also a very special element of this.
Let's talk about your dreams for the future. In a few years, what will EUniWell be?
Yes. Well, my hope is that we will really create a state-of-the-art educational environment. So truly multi-campus European university where we offer really innovative education experiences to our students jointly. I think, and what I really would like to see is that we're strongly intertwined also locally, regionally, but also so Europe-wide. I think that is an ambition we have. We really would like students to contribute to this multi-campus, and we really would like to have impact on the well-being. Well, and this is quite ambitious, of course, not only Europe-wide, but also globally. but also the well-being of our staff and students internally.
And not only is it quite ambitious, it's also quite a professional answer. What would your personal answer be? What are your dreams? What makes you tick?
Well, actually, two things. It was great. It's great fun cooperating with these people. So what I saw already on our first trip to Köln, I think about a year ago, where we had the first design session with all these 7 universities. These are great persons and people that can truly work together and contribute something to well-being. So that gave me personally a lot of energy. So I look very much forward to collaborate with these people from these universities more and really extend it to more people inside Leiden University to have this opportunity, both staff and students.
Oh, I see it in your eyes, shiny eyes, happiness,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
I have the honor to talk to a few people that were involved with this project, and I want to invite you to stay with me during these conversations. If you have anything to ask, anything to add, feel free. Is that okay with you?
Definitely.
Okay, let's go to my first guest. I would like to introduce to you Joachim Koops. Welcome, Joachim.
Hi, Oscar. Hello.
Professor of Security Studies and lead of Working Group Individual and Social Well-Being. So, Joachim, please tell me, how did you get involved with EUniWell?
Well, in the spirit of EUniWell, it was a colleague of mine, Janine de Roy-Zuiderwen, who was invited in that kickoff brainstorming that Hester just mentioned about a year ago, and she was like, she's an expert on terrorism studies and societal issues, and she was very, very excited coming back from that meeting in Cologne, told me all about it, and quite a few people at the Institute of Security and Global Affairs were fired up by her enthusiasm, and so I also got involved, very happily then worked on the application on the aspect of individual and social well-being, and I think it was a fascinating idea back then, and now it's a fascinating concrete alliance. So,
and what appealed to you?
Sorry?
What appealed to you about the focus on well-being?
I think first of all, the project, the so-called Macron Initiative. Macron mentioned this in 2017 in a big speech with lots of priorities as the kind of thing to really build Europe for the next generation, right? The movement of ideas and the movement of people, which is more and more difficult, of course, now if you think about the current situation and the pandemic and the fact that we have to do a lot of stuff digital now. But that's also something I think we'll be addressing in this alliance. But really, the core idea that through education you can also shape Europe and beyond. The alliance idea to work with different universities. You already mentioned it before, and Hester mentioned it. Not the usual suspects, but a new group, an exciting group of different universities that bring hopefully lots of new insights and opportunities for the students. But then, well-being broadly defined is the topic of our current challenges. So it's not only health. It's not only let's say mental well-being at the workplace. It is really about environmental issues. It is about peace, security, strong institutions, linking it to the Sustainable Development Goals. So what really fascinated me is that, when first hearing well-being, you might be thinking about health issues or spas, but it really is far more than that. It is a multi-dimensional approach that we're taking that really covers all the major challenges of a broadly defined concept of well-being.
In an article I read,
Oscar,
yes,
I think.
please,
So what Joachim also says, I think it links very well with the shift that we're making. I think as a society, from not focusing on wealth only, but the much more general concept of well-being with all its aspects. Really multifaceted, and I think in our university, our broad, comprehensive university, we have already many things on offer, research and education-wise. But then uniting it with these 7, we can truly contribute to this shift, and on all levels. So not only on new insights or new educational programs, but also policy advice. I think so. So it's a key topic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if you think about the economy of well-being shifting away maybe from GDP and including more broad and innovative ways of thinking about society and what society needs, but also, of course, the university sector, right? I mean, how we should in the future also create a university that has, at its core, well-being and the well-being of staff, students, and the profession.
Exactly.
Joachim, is the university healthy itself?
Now, I think you don't only have to look at Leiden, you have to look at the work sector at the moment in general, and then the academic sector in particular, to see that, of course, everyone is under immense stress, especially now in times of pandemic, of environmental challenges, economic changes, disruptions. Now, I think we will see in the next couple of years, as a result of the pandemic, huge changes, and that will affect us as universities in two ways. A, we have to really come up with answers for these societal issues, but B, we have to also make sure that we ourselves, as a community of students, staff, and professors, look after ourselves and each other, because of course work pressures are immense in the sector. There are a lot of studies also coming out, for example, in the UK, on mental well-being of academics, of students. So I think that's also something to absolutely put an emphasis on now. And I think, again, with that theme and this partnership, we're quite well placed to hopefully have some very strong answers on this.
Yeah. What could the answers be? Is there anything you've already learned from looking at the other universities?
Yeah, first of all, I think the reason why these universities are together in an alliance now and building up really sustainable partnership is that they bring different things to the table. So you have Semmelweis with a strong emphasis on medical sciences. You've got Cologne University, one of the largest universities in Germany, an all-round university. And then you have a more specialized university like Linnaeus. And I think what we can really learn there is from their different educational approaches, their programs. I see a lot of great opportunities for combining this into new programs. For example, there's one core aspect will be a broad peace studies masters, again, where peace is broadly defined, and bringing these different experiences to the table, but B, also the linkages each university has in their own region and then their own global partnerships as well. I mean, that's the great thing. I think EUniWell, Hester, correct me if I'm wrong, has more than 100 partners as well, beyond the universities, local councils, hospitals, companies, and that's an immense kind of collection of knowledge providers and hopefully excited co-thinkers for the benefit of students and staff.
Yeah, because that's an important goal to connect all these stakeholders, not only the universities, but also companies, industries, hospitals.
Yeah, I think, and it has several reasons. We can, of course, learn from them, co-develop with them, and I think to have true impact on the well-being of society and of citizens, you need them. You cannot do it as a university alone.
Yeah. One last question about the healthiness and the well-being on a university itself. It's a kind of personal question, Joachim. Do you focus on your own well-being as a professor?
I think we're generally probably quite bad at that, because we're so excited and enthusiastic about the work we're doing, and then very often you can forget looking at your own well-being. But it's something that not only with the creation of EUniWell, I've been thinking about more and more, of course. And if you now also think about the extra pressure of these blending of the private sphere and your professional life with working from home a lot and digitally, so I think, going out a bit more for running in the morning, and also having good breaks and trying to protect also your personal time, it's important. So, we're not always very good at it, but I think it's something to really also in our personal life now focus on. So not only the well-being of the planet and all the big macro goals, but I think also individually, hopefully learning from each other and being a good role model, hopefully also for students and for other colleagues.
Well, I wish you all the best. Thanks for being on this program.
Thanks.
Have a nice day, and I'll switch to someone who can talk about not only the why, but also about the how. I want to introduce to you Young Arisson. Young, welcome.
Hi, Hester. Hi.
Professor of Turnaround Management.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of turnaround to do right now.
I think
a lot
there's
of turnaround
quite some
management.
turnaround to do. Yeah, true. Yeah. So,
what is it that you do?
sorry, can you repeat your question? Sorry.
Yes, what is it that you do? What's the turnaround management thing about it?
Well, turnaround management is the research and also the practical field of that studies how organizations, but also societies, should change and can change, and what makes success factors and failure factors in that. So, as Joachim already mentioned, there's lots of disruption going on in the world due to economic changes. Also, for example, currently the pandemic, but there's also lots of technological disruption. Which it impacts the well-being, as we talk about well-being today, of people, people within companies, but also, let's say, citizens in general. And so what we do in the field of turnaround management is trying to figure out how you can create successful change strategies, and that can apply to companies, but also to universities, non-profit organizations, and as said, society as a whole. So it's a very interesting field, and as you mentioned, today is a very interesting times for people who are interested in change and change management. Yeah.
What is it that has to be changed if you want to make EUniWell a success?
That's a good question. I think what we need to do is to really be open for new ideas. I think when we talk about universities and universities working together with regional partners, or with citizens, and when we talk about concepts like open science, I think what we need to change is maybe the idea that we as academics, we have all the answers, and that we really should be open for ideas, new insights from people who are maybe do not have an academic background that much, but who are open, fresh in their thinking. And I think the change that we can establish also with EUniWell is that we bring all these people together with the diverse backgrounds, and that we are very open for new ideas, discussions, and also open for doing things together. Because turnaround management also has to do with being entrepreneurial, and entrepreneurial basically is looking for opportunities and try to figure out how you can grasp these opportunities and turn it into solutions, or when you are a company, in products and services. So I think that's kind of a shift we have to make, and I think also EUniWell is kind of the platform, the mechanism being created to create that change.
Hester, I see you smiling during this answer. Why is that?
Yeah, because I recognize it very much, and I think at the start already. So at the first meeting in Köln, but also at, for example, the student design challenge that we organized for bachelor, master, and PhD students of all 7 universities, asking them, so challenging them to come up with ideas what this could contribute for them. You really saw this change already happening. So people thinking entrepreneurial, jointly teaming up, thinking about the environment, the surroundings, potential partnerships. So it's very interesting to see, to hear what Jan is saying, and to see that is kicking off right now. But of course, there's lots to do now that we really starting.
Yeah. Jan, is it possible to create an identity not only for the Leiden University, but for those 7 universities as a whole?
Yeah, I think it's possible, because it starts with the dream of doing that, and then start working on it. And I think it's a challenge, I guess, because we all have different backgrounds, history, culture, So what Hester already mentioned is that what we should do is we should bring people together. And what I liked about the project up till now is that also in the beginning was that we said, okay, the kind of the process of creating EUniWell should be a metaphor of how you want to operate with each other. So the design challenge with the students was a fascinating way. It was kind of a instant activity. All of a sudden there were 70 students from all over Europe in Leiden, and they were together and they start working on ideas. And I think that was very fruitful. So I think that is kind of the big thing we have to do, is bring people together, not top down, but more stimulating them bottom up to come together and be creative. And I think that the company, the university directors and all those, let's say, the formal leaders should create an environment for these activities to happen, to take place. So they should somehow create the community and everything for that. That people start coming together and be creative and to come up with ideas, with solutions, to make mistakes and to learn from these mistakes and to move on. I think that is what we need to do. This is kind of I was looking for the word atmosphere. I think the leadership should create the atmosphere in which that can happen. So I'm very positive about it.
As a professor of turnaround management, you'll see industries, companies making the same mistakes all over again, I guess. Do you have an advice for us not to make the same mistake? What should we know?
I think the biggest one is that you think that you're already there, that you have all the answers yourself, and I think that's kind of a big mistake you can make. It reminds me this question of the Nokia mobile phone company from Finland, who were very successful one day, and then there was a new innovation from a Silicon Valley company. Maybe you've heard about it. It's called Apple, and they came up with the iPhone, and they ignored the fact, because they thought, okay, these guys are, they are computer guys. They are not mobile phone operators. So they completely ignored the benefits of that product. And well, everybody knows the history. Now everybody is using Apple iPhone instead of Nokia phones. And what they learned from it, because the company still exists, made a major turnaround, is what they called paranoid optimism. And it sounds a bit negative, but it's also, I think it's kind of positive. And paranoid optimism is that you always should be optimistic. You think about your own success and how you can elaborate on that. But you also have to be a little paranoid. So looking behind, is there something going on what we are not aware of and should be aware of? And I think that is, maybe if we apply it to EUniWell, I think that's a very important thing to bear in mind. And I do realize that paranoid optimism sounds a bit negative. If we find another word for it, but I think that's
it sounds like a perfect skill. I want to thank you, Young Adriaanse. Thank you.
Welcome. And, thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for being on the show. Jan already mentioned it, the Student Design Challenge. We have a little movie. We can watch a video about this project because, well, we can talk about things that have to be done, but there are some things that already have happened. So let's take a look at the Student Design Challenge.
We really got huge groups of students, bachelor, master, PhDs from all 7 universities here for 24 hours working together.
Lots of ideas are developed here in a very short period of time. And I think it's quite unique also with all these different people together.
I think that's going to be big. They are taking it in a very open way. They are all respecting each other's opinions and experiences. I'm pretty sure that after these, they will appreciate their universities more, or perhaps they will go back and they'll have more ideas on how to create better environments within their own university.
And we are joined by Stuart Laurans. Welcome, Director of Innovation. Nice to have you on this program, Sjoerd. Well, we saw a little video about the students' design challenge. The last few bits, I think it was pre-corona, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the world couldn't have changed more. There were 70 students and PhDs and a few professionals together in, I think, the beginning of February. And this was organized within 2 weeks, so everyone flew in and came in by trains in a really short time to think about EUniWell, which didn't have the shape that it has now. So it was still evolving, and the students were involved in evolving the concept.
And why was it created in only 2 weeks?
Because the European Commission wanted a proposal 4 weeks after, so there was a high deadline to do this.
There was a little hurry.
Under these pressures, a lot of things get fluid, and also the hierarchical structures in these 7 universities. So there was a lot of drive and focus on a result, and that was really nice.
Yeah, what do you remember from it?
It was highly energetic. There were a lot of young people coming up with proposals for the EUniWell Alliance. It was interdisciplinary, so there were students from all different backgrounds. And at PLNT, where I work, we believe that when worlds meet, growth follows. So all these different worlds, these academic worlds, but also cultures, also university organizations, came together and collided in a way, and that creates a spark, that creates new ideas and energy.
Yeah, in all of your professional work, you want worlds to meet, you want walls to collapse. Why is that? Why is that so important for you?
So as we talked about before, Professor Joachim Koops talked about the movement of ideas, and Young Adriaanse talked about EUniWell as a platform for change. And doing so, I believe you need spaces, which also Jan already referred to, that create interaction between values. So PLNT is a third space, because we're not totally academic, we're not totally public, nor we are not totally run by or governed by businesses, which means that we have this communal space that we can protect, where we can also get people to work together. And I believe that that's where the most transformative ideas come from.
Okay, Sjoerd, and how do you see that in the current digital times, this idea of spaces? Space
can be mind space, space can be online space, space can be physical space. So I have a background in architecture, so I might use the word space, and people might have the connotation of space as a physical space, but space is a broader, by me at least, it's broader defined.
Right.
Yeah.
During the student design challenge, the question was, what does well-being mean to you? What were the answers?
Broadly, as the question is broad. So some of the questions went into healthy well-being. So a lot of students were very passionate about the digital influences on well-being. So your screen time and what that does with you. Others were very passionate about sustainability and the well-being of nature. So there's a lot of different answers to those questions. But what I think that we did well is we created this European community to work on their own challenges and to try to solve their own challenges in a more local way. And I think that's quite interesting that EUniWell does this. A European community, but local/regional challenges that need to be solved.
Yeah. And when I ask you about your dreams for the future?
For the future of EUniWell, I think.
No, it can be personal.
In general. I think the why that Hester was already talking about is going from wealth to well-being. I think that is one of the big questions of our time, which will also disrupt a lot of existing structures and systems. And I would wish that EUniWell can play a small role in that transition, because I think it's really needed by us all. And I think the best way to do so is by organizing talent. And universities are the best at organizing talent, but it also needs to flow outside of the university walls. And that's why I'm always trying to break down those walls, as you mentioned already.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing that, and thank you for organizing this student design challenge. I hope there will be a lot more of that. Thank you for now, and
Cheers.
now we go ahead with this program. Thank you, Stuart Laurans.
Bye.
The EUniWell has launched the seed funding program that is intended to bring together researchers, students, educators from all these 7 universities. The first call was issued in spring 2020. More than 60 university teams submitted applications. The best of them were funded by EUniWell to develop new research approaches that will promote well-being on a European scale. On this very day, there will be a second seed fund call. You will learn all about it in the international sessions later this day. But for now, let's take a look at two of those applications from the first round.
Hi everyone, I am Eduardo Alves Vieira from the Leiden University Center for Linguistics, and together with my colleague Maricarmen Parafita Couto, we are involved in the project Multilingualism for Social Inclusion in the European Classroom. In this project, we are collaborating with 3 more universities, Cologne in Germany, Firenze in Italy, and Birmingham in the UK. And in a few words, we aim to compare the status of multilingualism in the partnerships collaborating cities to determine how multilingualism can be harnessed to improve language learning experiences and enhance intercultural acceptance in the European classroom. At the end of our project, we will develop a digital infrastructure of multilingual educational resources, which empowers laypersons and enhances educators' professional development. Also, in the long term, we expect our project to be a springboard for structured student and teacher exchanges across the envisioned inter-university campus. Well, this is it, and thank you very much for your attention.
Student well-being is and has been a very important theme for our university, University of Leiden. And this motivated us early 2020 to submit a proposal with EUniWell. At that time, the pandemic hadn't even started, and it's more obvious than ever how important this is today.
There already are initiatives to improve student well-being at our university, but we also face many challenges. Besides working on our own plans, we are therefore very curious to learn about experiences from other universities in Europe. That's why I came up with the idea for a Good Practices Symposium on student well-being.
And we do this together with Florence University in Italy and Semmelweis University in Hungary. But we hope, of course, that many more universities will join the symposium where we can learn from each other.
At the symposium, we want to discuss the theme of student well-being from a perspective of students, an organizational perspective, and a scientific perspective. We aim to hold the symposium late spring, and you can contact us when you have any ideas you want to share with us.
So please join us. We hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, please join us. Hope to see you soon. Hester, what do you think? Are you proud of these projects from Leiden University?
Yes, very much. I think it's great if you saw the sheer amount of ideas and initiatives that came up, and specifically these 2. I think you see it really touches the core of our university. So specifically, if you think about the first initiative, it's looking at well-being, but also looking at inclusivity. So we're a diverse university in itself with diverse staff members, diverse students. And we need to be truly inclusive as a university to make sure that all our staff and students can develop themselves to the max, but also that now it's ×7 Europe-wide. So thinking with these 7 parties about inclusivity in the region, but also within Europe, I think can truly contribute. And of course, language is an interesting element there. So nice idea of the linguistics department. And I think on the student well-being, we started already before COVID-19 a task force and a project on this within Leiden University. And it's now with the current corona crisis even really more urgent. And then uniting forces with the 7 universities, sharing best practices on these different elements, I think can help us to do even better for our students.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned diversity and inclusion, so that's a great moment to talk to the diversity officer, Aya Ezawa.
Morning.
Aya, nice having you on the program. Can you please tell me? Oh, is this the moment we lost contact?
No, you're there again.
Yeah, it's
Aya, can you tell me what does that diversity officer do?
Yes, indeed, they're awkward. It's a kind of not a policy. Everything's.
I'm sorry, Aya. There's something wrong about with the sound. You sound a little bit like a robot. That could not be
Yes.
what we want. Maybe use another mic. Wow. We wait for a second. And otherwise, you can log off and log in again. In the meantime, Hester, the Leiden University, does it have a focus on inclusion and diversity? Is it important for the Leiden University?
Oh yes, certainly. It's key for our university. We have therefore also an expertise center, a diversity office, which is headed by Aya as diversity officer, but also within the faculties, it has lots of focus and attention for our students, but also for our staff. And we are very active to become more diverse, but also more inclusive in very aspects, and have actually also joined the national action plan. So nationally, there's also an action plan on inclusion among universities of the Ministry of Education, where we also play a core role.
Yeah, I think we can add Aya again to the stream. Aya, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me better now?
Yes,
that's better. That's better. So I'd like to hear from you in your own words. What does a diversity officer do, and why is it so important?
Yes, thank you. Well, a diversity officer basically advises both the university government, but also different units within the university about diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion are so we provide advice, but we also provide trainings, we create awareness, we put diversity on the agenda, and we also provide concrete tools with guidelines, workshops, and other things. Why is it important? We are an educational institution, and as an educational institution, we have the purpose of providing everyone equal opportunities to attract the best talent, let people grow. But we know from the numbers that for some reason or other, we don't achieve that goal. It is not that certain kind of groups of students or staff are not well enough, but we know from research that there is some kind of bias in the way we look and select what is the best research, best student, best researcher. And so it's actually really a moment to critically look at us as an institution and say, what is it that we're doing that isn't inclusive, doesn't provide that opportunity?
Yeah, and that's an important point to make it clear for once and for all. What's the difference exactly between diversity and inclusion?
Yes, that's an important one indeed. With diversity, we of course talk about diversity and backgrounds, perspectives, experiences, and that is growing, and that is certainly also present in EUniWell. So you want different kinds of people at the table, but inclusion basically isn't so much about the people themselves, because that's not where the problem is. The problem is with institutions, the structures, the practices, our curricula. It's the framework within which we all move. And this is, I think, why this project is so exciting, because it's about organizational transformation. So we have to look at the things we've already done and says, did we really include all perspectives? Are we really able to open up? And so inclusion is really about ensuring everyone feels part of this institution and can do best and what they're good at and follow their ambitions.
Yeah. Are people open to this message?
Yes, certainly. As everyone knows, I have a pretty busy agenda, and you know they're good things and challenging things. In the sense that COVID-19, I think, has brought to the front how important inclusion is and well-being is, and that to me has been the fascinating thing. As academics, you think about books, ideas, papers, publications. But I think the thing that everyone's talking about is about how we're doing physically, emotionally, socially. And this is where we see also important disparities. That some students had difficulties performing during this time might have to do with resources. A good laptop, good Wi-Fi defines everything in your life these days. But also you have care tasks, all these kind of things, and we should not judge staff or students based on personal circumstances they cannot control. We are here to provide an environment where we enable them to do what they can do. And we see we are in the same pandemic, but everyone experiences differently. And this is where our role is, to ensure that we truly have equal opportunities.
But how do we get rid of these blind spots? How do we get rid of them, the blind spots?
I think it starts with research and data, and I think bringing people to the table. Basically, the more diverse a team, certainly on a managerial level, the more perspectives we can bring in. So it starts with knowing how are our students and staff doing. And then thinking collectively about how we can take steps. So I see my role in connecting the different levels of the university. I speak to students and staff, but I also speak to the university government and administrators, and making sure this is how people experience this is what administrators do, and see how we together can take steps. And it starts with having a dialogue and knowing who we are, and based on that understanding, taking steps that fit for all.
Yeah, and what can we learn from the other universities? Do you have examples from the other universities?
Yes, for now, I think I would see it more as a sort of future ambition, in the sense that we are all sort of struggling with a situation that is completely unexpected and unpredictable in many ways. And so I think it's an opportunity to share best practices. And what I really like about this project is it's not sort of the usual suspects, but we have institutions in very different kind of regions. And for example, engaging with these questions around the pandemic with different resources. And there you can actually benefit also from universities which might not have as many resources, but maybe have a better sense of community. And so in that sense, I think it's a real equalizer to say, well, it's not about who's best and who's in the forefront of research, but rather to join efforts and trying to understand and grapple with something and share practices on something that none of us expected to happen this year.
Thank you so much, Aya. We're on a tight schedule, but I want to thank you for joining us. And
thank you.
Right now, I'm thinking about the whole concept of well-being. Is that inclusive in itself? Maybe that's a good question to end this round. Thank you, Aya. And we go ahead. We've talked about the university. We've talked with colleagues, and we talked about students.
Actually, really great. Have been really looking forward to this launch day. So really excited to be here. How about you?
Well, I'm fine, Hester. What about you?
Yes, I'm very excited about this launch day too.
Fenna, can you tell me, why did you want to join the EUniWell initiative?
So basically what happened, I've already done multiple activities at the university before. So I've already dabbled a little bit in university policy and that kind of stuff. And it's something I find really interesting. And then also health and well-being is something that really interests me as well, especially as a student in times of Corona. It's particularly interesting to see how people are handling their well-being, and that's also sort of why I got involved in EUniWell. The topic is really something that is very close to me, and it's really something that I think students should also get involved in. So that's why I joined the project, and I'm still happy to be here.
You joined the students board, didn't you? What does the student board do?
So basically, we're so you have the rector's board, which is where Hester is, and then we have the students board, is like the student version of the highest executive board, and we basically talk about all matters that go on in the EUniWell, but we also try to bring a student perspective to the table. So we discuss matters that relate to students, but we also talk to students at our local universities about what is important to you, what is going on. Is there anything that you would like us to talk about? Is there anything at the university that you're like, if we do this really well, then maybe other universities can learn from it. So that's basically what the student board tries to bring into EUniWell as well.
What are the things that you heard people saying, we're very good at it?
So I think one thing that Leiden is sort of renowned for inside of EUniWell right now is the fact that we have a very flat level structure. So we're not very hierarchical. So we don't have this really weird structure where you can talk to your professors, or I can't talk to Hester, or I can't have any meetings with people higher up, because in Leiden we just do that. We have these meetings, we talk to each other semi-informally, and it's a lot of fun. It's very useful as well. We can learn a lot from each other, and I think that's definitely something that Leiden has brought to the table within the student board, of like, hey guys, we don't need this hierarchy, we don't need to have executives, we don't need to have special representatives, but we can also all be students and still be very practical within implementing these kind of things within the student board. So I think that's very particular.
Yeah, we just talked about diversity and inclusion. The student board itself, is it diverse? Is there a lot of inclusion?
So I guess it kind of depends on what you think of as diversity, because we do have a lot of women. Our 3 sort of permanent representatives are all women, and I think our majority is women. But we are struggling a little bit with other components of diversity, such as socioeconomic diversity and racial diversity, or racial ethnic diversity. And that's really something that we're trying to work on, because a board should be diverse. We should be a representative of the student body, and not only at Leiden University, which is a very diverse university within the student and staff body, but also within other universities such as Semmelweis in Hungary, Linnaeus in Sweden, Nantes in France. They also need to be represented. So we're really trying to work on getting a bigger and more diverse student body represented in the student board.
Oh. So maybe you can do a small pitch. Why should people join the board, or for at least join EUniWell?
So why should you join EUniWell? You should join EUniWell because it's a really, really great initiative, and it's a really low-key and fun way to get into topics such as well-being, sustainability, health, working with universities, European policy, but also learn how to, sometimes deal with people that communicate in a very different way than you do, and learn a lot from these kind of miscommunications sometimes. So I think it's a very fun and also kind of entry-level way into getting involved in a university and getting involved in a European initiative. And if this is something that interests you, then you should definitely join the EUniWell student board, either at Leiden or try to go via us to the higher up student board and help us out there.
Well, that's a great pitch. Don't you think so, Hester?
Yes, I think it's great. Yeah, you can't refuse.
And Fenna, you just said you talk to the professors, you talk to the Rector Magnificus all the time. You talk to Hester every minute. But take this chance. Is there something you want to say to Hester to make her aware of something that may not be forgotten when it comes to the student perspective?
I think very important for rectors and particularly you, Hester, I think it's very important to bring this Leiden perspective to the higher up board, because we've really sometimes been struggling with getting in touch with other rectors, and that is particularly because of this hierarchical structure that is still really prevalent at some universities. And I think that my main message would be, please bring our viewpoints to the table and help us get access so we can also bring our viewpoints directly to you. And I think that would benefit all of us.
Thank you. Yes, we will certainly do. I think already from the start, writing the proposal, we did this, and you see very interesting differences between cultures in countries and the way universities operate in countries. So you see the typical German hierarchical structure, the more English, quite formal, but on the other side, very funny style. And we always brought the Dutch Leiden style to the table, but we'll continue there because I think it is a great, it's a quality of our university. Because incorporate talking directly to students and staff, you can incorporate all the ideas, and then it becomes much better.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree.
I want to thank you very much, Fenna. Later this day at 11:15 Central European Time, everyone can watch the official launch of the EUniWell Students Board. So I hope you check in there. Thanks for now, Fenna van Haeften.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
And Hester, that's the end of this program.
Yeah, we have to. I have to leave and go to the official launch of EUniWell.
Yeah, you
now.
have to hurry.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to add? Anything you want to say to the Leiden people that are watching right now?
Well, I hope it has become clear the great value of EUniWell as our European university network that we participate in, and I hope we motivated you and inspired you to contribute and join this great initiative. If you're interested, let us know. Approach us, students, staff, support staff, anyone can contribute, I think, to this great initiative. So, and thank you very much for your attention and being with us today.
Well, thank you very much for being with me this day. It was an honor to be your host. It was an honor to have you on the show. I thank you to all of my guests, and to the audience, I say I wish you a great future with EUniWell. And I hope you enjoy the international sessions which will start in a few minutes. So let's hurry. Have a nice day. Hope to see you soon. Thanks for your attention. You were a wonderful audience. Goodbye.
Bye.